Most of this planet has been mapped, from the highest mountain to the deepest part of the sea. We have stood on the dusty surface of the moon and focused the Hubble telescope on some of the strange places in our universe, hoping to discover that we are not alone. And yet there is still one landscape that has gone mostly unexplored: the landscape of the human heart. This is where that journey continues. Hello once again, I'm Don Jackson, guiding you toward the heartbeat of the internet and to a galaxy far, far away. I'm Don Jackson, very near to the heartbeat of the internet. When we talk of inner space today, a good analogy might be the World Wide Web. In essence, on a quantum level, it mirrors the size of the universe, but in the microscopic. I'm following Commander Chris Hadfield on Twitter. He is currently aboard the International Space Station. This year, he takes over the reins as the commander of that orbiting laboratory. Just recently, William Shatner, best known for his role as Captain Kirk in TV Star Trek, and Commander Hadfield have been tweeting back and forth. Science fiction has finally met science fact. I've been a fan of all the crews in the Star Trek universe. Not only did the viewer learn a lot about science, but we had a peek into our technologically rich future. I really think that Steve Jobs must have been a fan too, because so many of Star Trek's fun gadgets have seemed to have piqued his curiosity. In the original series, we saw the crew using their communicators. They look suspiciously like the iPhone today, and its so many Android cousins. On Star Trek Voyager, the crew carried small wireless tablets that could act like computers. Again, the iPod and its kin. One of NASA's space shuttles was named Enterprise after the flotilla of ships in the TV series. Who can truly calculate the influence that the franchise has had on our technology and our lives? I thought we might feature a few scenarios from some of the scripts that takes us beyond the science into the realm of humanity that the series was very good at exploring as well. Not only did they go where no man has gone before, they also took us deep inside ourselves and the human condition. I'm Don Jackson, listening to not only the heartbeat of the internet, but to whispers between the stars. Before we delve into the humanity in Star Trek, consider the one question that we need to answer before that fiction could ever become a reality. The most important question that mankind still has to answer: are we alone? Are we the only sentient creatures alive in this vast universe? We've tried listening for signals that might indicate that there is at least another species asking the same question, or able to give us some much-needed answers. We've sent spacecraft outside our solar system with a map showing where we live, photos of what we look, and soundtracks of what we sound like. If you saw the Will Smith film Independence Day, then you might ascribe to the notion that it's probably best that we stay pretty much to ourselves. Another film, Signs, that starred Mel Gibson, gave us a very good reason to want to turn off the listening devices and hope that anything malevolent will pass us by. And then there was the Jodie Foster film Contact, based on the novel by Carl Sagan. The beings she encounters on her journey through the wormhole are completely alien to us, but we share one thing in common: the need to know that there are others out there, that we're not alone. As the being said to her on that cosmic beach, "You are a species capable of such wonderful dreams, and such horrible nightmares. We'd like to believe that if aliens exist, then they are like those who made up the Federation of Planets on Star Trek. If we ever find out that we're not alone in this endless universe, we hope that we discover that we share the space with creatures who have something to tell us about ourselves. We hope the lessons won't be about the worst of humanity. We hope they will help us to solve all of our ills and in the process give us hope for the human race. Star Trek was the blueprint for what humanity should look like in Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future. I'm Don Jackson, taking a look at a few of the plot lines for a TV phenomena while here at the heartbeat of the Internet. In one episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, an alien probe encounters the Enterprise in deep space. Upon closer inspection, Captain Picard is struck down and probed by the alien artifact. An interface is made between the captain and this ancient probe. The captain slips into a coma-like state, and the doctor and the other members of the bridge crew try everything they can to break the link, but they realize that more damage might be done by doing just that. So they keep the captain comfortable while monitoring his life signs. In total, the connection lasts between 15 and 20 minutes. But to the captain himself, in his dreamlike state, he lives an entire other life on an alien world. At first, he realizes he's not supposed to be there. His memories remain intact of his time as the Enterprise's commander. But during this time, he realizes as well that on this world, the inhabitants see him not as an outsider, but as one of their own, a friend and respected member of their community. He helps them at a time when something is obviously going wrong with their sun in the sky, their local star. He also develops a love for music and learns to play a small flute. Eventually, he grows old, and at the end of his life, the connection between the probe and the captain of the Enterprise is broken. Now again, in real time, only 15 to 20 minutes or so have passed. But in his memory of the event, a lifetime has been lived. After he recovers, he is deeply affected by this experience, and even through following episodes, this encounter and the memories of it continue to affect his life. The memories he retains are that real. One of the lasting effects is his knowledge of the flute, and he develops a love for music. The crew discovers that this probe was sent before the alien's star went supernova. It contains a record of the people of a world that no longer exists. On its long journey between the stars, it has waited to encounter another spacefaring civilization in order that this alien race will never be forgotten, that something of how they lived, how they loved their families, their hopes and aspirations would remain long after they were destroyed through no fault of their own, save for being born on a planet that was doomed from the start. Even though you are listening to the heartbeat of the Internet, you are actually on a spacecraft on a journey through space and time. In an episode of the series Star Trek Voyager, an away mission goes terribly wrong. Several crew members return in their shuttle, convinced they have taken part in a war on a planet and committed horrible atrocities. They are so deeply affected by what they think they have done that they begin to experience nightmares and end up requiring medical attention. As the episode continues, more and more crew members begin to experience their own flashbacks of a war they couldn't possibly have taken part in, the captain included. The effects for the crew members of Voyager are so disturbing, they too need medical attention and find it difficult to carry on with their duties. The female captain begins to consider the possibility that her entire crew took part, that their memories were somehow partially erased, and now the memories of the event are breaking through to the surface. It is similar to what happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger in his science fiction film Total Recall, where he begins to have flashbacks of being on Mars when his wife and friends claim he's never even been there. Eventually, the crew of Voyager discover they have been affected by a device on a distant, seemingly uninhabited planet, a planet that was the scene of a horrible war centuries in the past. The memories of what took place are beamed out into space, and any passing spaceship's crew is made to endure the tragedy over and over again. This is the way the few remaining inhabitants decided to keep the memory of their civilization alive. A warning to all about the horrors of war. A warning buoy is placed in orbit around this silent world by the crew of Voyager to advise other spacecraft of what they will encounter should they travel any closer to the dead world. You can learn many things listening to the heartbeat of the internet. I'm Don Jackson. One of my favorite episodes from Star Trek: The Next Generation is all about falling in love. Our last program dealt with the dark side of love. This TV episode was about love's innocent side. But the characters carefully testing the waters of their feelings are unlike any you have ever encountered. The series produced the most interesting characters in Star Trek: The Next Generation. The android Data is by far the most endearing of the ship's complement, an android version of Pinocchio, the little wooden puppet that so much wanted to become a real boy. Data was played by actor Brent Spiner, another person I follow on Twitter. In real life, Spiner has no problems with humor, as his character did. The android dreamed of becoming a real person, capable of feelings and emotions, able to understand the concept of humor. The blind chief engineer eventually plants an emotion chip in his positronic brain, which overloads, but during the brief time that it works, he feels fear for the first time. For the most part, he stumbled through the series giving technical advice and solving complex scientific problems, and one time, he even had a chance to write a subroutine on one of the most complex dilemmas ever: love. He thinks that one of the female crew is beginning to show him something more than simple affection. He asks his friends about love and realizes this will be one of his most challenging quandaries, for each one gives him different advice on humankind's most complex emotion, something that is fraught with pitfalls and with the potential to be the most powerful of human connections. His female companion asks what he was thinking as they shared a brief kiss. He tells her that during these few moments he was working on solving a problem with the deflector array, trying to figure out a new food formula for his pet cat, and thinking about the right amount of pressure to apply to her lips, to which she says, "Well, at least I was in there somewhere." We discover that she has just broken up a relationship and may be a little unsure of her own feelings at the moment. They seem to be a mass of confusion. At the end of the episode, she breaks off her relationship with the android, and in the last poignant scene, we see him sitting down after she has left his quarters. His cat is on his lap, and he is deleting the program files he had created for love. If it was only this easy in the real world to find a way to purge our internal systems of love. In the end, we had little to fear from the big one, the asteroid that passed by, but the little one, the meteor, was a much different story. It was a wake-up call for us to spend a little more time looking up rather than always looking down. And here's something to think about while you're looking up at the stars overhead. If a passing alien craft came to within the vicinity of Earth, what would you think they would think about us through our radio and television signals? Our signals would be the first transmissions they would encounter. What would they learn about the planet Earth? Would it seem an inviting place, or one to be avoided at all costs? Would they place a warning buoy at the far reaches of our solar system, warning off any others? Or would they think that there is something about our humanity that merits further study? Lewis Thomas wrote, "Photographed from the moon, the Earth seems to be a kind of organism. It is plainly in the process of developing, like an enormous embryo. It is, for all its stupendous size and numberless units of its life forms, coherent. Every tissue is linked for its viability to every other tissue." Unquote. Bette Midler brings that thought even closer to home. Have a great day and a good night filled with many sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.